Every year, the relatives who visit Rokkanjima let out a sigh of admiration at the rose garden which first greets them. They stood there talking with each other about the roses' beauty and the state of their blooming this year. There was a single unhealthy rose among them, and Maria became overwhelmed with dejection at its state. But George used his quick wits, and saying she should look after it, if she felt that sorry for it. He marked it with a candy wrapper, and immediately restored Maria's good mood. And once Battler, with whom she had been getting along all morning, raised the subject of Halloween that Maria loved so much, she began playing around energetically again. To Maria, those marshmallow jack-o'-lantern candies that her mother had bought for her were probably a treasure greater than any other. It seemed that several of them had been bought for her, and she demanded trick-or-treat from every person she met, giving them candy instead of the other way around.
I wonder why Maria likes Halloween so much. I thought that event was pretty difficult for Japanese people to get used to.
Isn't that because it's a kids' festival where they get to parade around in costumes? It's fun to play around in an outfit that's different than usual.
No, I think there's probably a slightly deeper reason. After all, she is Maria-chan the witch. Come to think of it, when we were at the airport, didn't Maria say that if she was going to wear a costume, it would be a witch? Does Maria like witches?
Yes, she loves them. So much that it becomes a problem. Well, admiring fantastical stuff like that is to be expected at that age. If she had at least chosen a heroine of some TV anime to admire, it would have been cute. Judging by Rosa's reactions, it seemed that, as a mother, she did not find her daughter's love for witches pleasant.
You know, if Maria were to pick an anime, I have a feeling it would probably be like Corpse Party.
I mean, you wouldn't be wrong. But Corpse Party was, so 1980s. What animes would there be in the 1980s? That would be very, spoopy scary.
None that I can think of.
Yeah, not a lot of spoopy anime was back then. I think she'd oh yeah, she'd 100% love, cute magical girl anime. Straight up. So, maybe, Sailor Moon and all that stuff. So, maybe Tokyo Mew Mew. Things like that. Tokyo Mew Mew might be a little older. Might be a little younger than that, though. Well, who knows. Seemingly all the cousins other than Battler were able to understand this, and they shrugged their shoulders, smiling awkwardly. Mario like Evangelion. She's just in her house she's just parading around singing that. Oh my god, that would be hilarious.
So if you like witches, you also like Halloween. Is that how that works? I guess I should just ask her myself if I didn't know. Hey Maria, what kind of relationship do Halloween and witches have with each other?
As Battler asked that, George and Jessica let out a small noise. It seemed they were too late. It almost looked as though Maria had been waiting for that question. After looking happy for an instant, her expression turned a little mean, as if to say, "You don't know anything, do you?" It was the expression of an enthusiast who had been enraged by the ignorant statement of an outsider with a wrong impression.
So every other fucking nerd on the internet?
Right? For real.
The Celts thought that the changing strength of the sun over the course of a year, as its birth, its growing up period, its aging and death, and then its revival.
I get it. The sun, weak and warm in spring, starts to grow up and become hot, and then it gradually gets weaker and worn out. Yeah, I can see how you could think of that as the passing of the sun's life.
Yep. So they thought that the end of October the sun died, rested its body in the land of the dead, and then revived again at the winter solstice. And so they celebrated the day that the sun ends its 1-year lifespan and dies, calling it New Year's Eve, or Saman.
I can't pronounce it with this fucking voice. Samain or... yeah. It is a pagan holiday, that is correct.
That way of thinking is very interesting, to say the sun is revived on the day of the winter solstice, when the daylight hours start to grow longer again. It's an episode that makes you understand how much ancient people defied the sun, or deified the sun even. I see. And what do witches have to do with this?
It seemed that... Oh, that's Battler. Yep, that's Battler.
It seemed that my casual urging forward had slightly infuriated Maria. She glared at me with eyes that told me to let her explain without interrupting. Maria looked like she was having fun telling me, so I decided not to interrupt.
In the interval between October and November, life and death become the closest they ever will. The Celts believed that this was the time when the world of the living was at its closest to that of the dead, and those not of this world. And when they would be visited by many inhabitants of the other world. It's just like the Bon Festival in Japan.
At the time, the people believed that the souls returned to the physical world would go into people's houses or possess people to do bad things. So, in order to avoid harm from them, the people invented protective rituals. One of those was to imitate creepy monsters and scare the souls instead, which was apparently a way to avoid being possessed. So that part became a festival, which turned into a costume parade. Maria's really knowledgeable.
Ain't it the truth?
God damn it, Yoshi.
Yeah, y'all thought you were going to get away from this accident?
Son of a bitch!
You and I never knew Halloween had such a history. But where did the whole trick-or-treat thing come from?
Her knowledge was so extensive that the adults had started listening in, too, at some point. Maria, who was normally always treated like the youngest, puffed out her chest in pride. Rosa tried to say this was just a kid's story, and that she wanted to quickly break up the circle and set the luggage down in the guest house, but no one else agreed, and she let out a heavy sigh.
Trick-or-treat is just for fun. It has nothing to do with what was originally a Celtic ceremony. That was created later when Christian customs were mixed in.
Because, Christians always have to make everything about themselves. I mean, what?
But I think Halloween should be that way.
According to Maria, the souls of the dead weren't the only ones who visited from the world of the non-human. There were also spirits that had intimate connection with how people live. It was because humans received the favors of those spirits that they were able to earn a wonderful blessing and a year's worth of good crops. So, in other words, Halloween was also a bit of a harvest festival? You're all good.
I see. Now you mention it, I get the feeling that October is a turning point in various ways, seasonally too. I mean, it's exactly on the other side of the year to Japan's April. Yeah, that might be a good place to mark it.
And the witches, they held a coven during that time, called a Sabbath. The witches...
Christopher Sabbath?
No, not that one, silly. The witches would thank the spirits that gave up blessings of prosperity and reward them.
Halloween costumes are an imitation of the visitors from the other side. So then, the reason we give candy to them must be because of a feeling that they should be thanked for the yearly harvest.
Just like Giorgio Nichan says!
So, is Halloween a time when this world and that world intermingle? So in other words, it's a precious opportunity for witches to interact with visitors from that world. Is that what you want to say?
Just like Battler says! So you know what? October is the time when the power of witches and demons is at its most vigorous and prosperous. I'm sure Beatrice will come too. And then we'll eat the marshmallow candies together, and she'll take me to the Golden Land with her. We'll sing magical songs together, learn magic spells together, learn how to draw magic circles together. And I'm going to learn the secrets of ruins and become a great witch really, really quickly.
My my, isn't that wonderful? It's best for kids to have dreams. By the way, Rosa, how old did Maria-chan turn this year again? Maria... That's enough of that topic! Don't worry about it, Rosa-san. It's a dream that any girl has at one time or another. Thank you very much. But Maria has already outgrown that age. Hey, I'm telling you to stop! Rosa scolded Maria, trying to shut her up before her cheery discussion about black magic earned her the giggles of the relatives.
Wow. That's a pretty large-scale dream. By the way, who is Beatrice again? Was it... I've heard that before.
Shout out to Maria wanting to be a magical girl anime pro tag. You know, straight up, that's fair. Adler had been gone for 6 years and had completely forgotten about the legend of the Rokkanjima witch. However, when he said that he didn't know Beatrice's name, Maria's mood, which had been so bright until just now, became sour in an instant. When he saw that, Battler immediately remembered that it was the name of the witch of this island, but the damage had been done. Until Maria's mood improved, many mysterious and fabulous episodes regarding the Golden Witch were drilled into his brain. That is enough, Maria! Thank you, Battler-kun, for going along with her stories. Kanon-kun, don't you have work to do? Please leave now. Gora-san, I think everyone wants to set their bags down for the time being. I'm sorry, but could you guide everyone to the guest house?
Certainly. It's been a long time since I voiced God. I don't remember what voice I gave him.
He's a douche. Whatever you want.
Now I don't know. Well then, everyone, I will guide you to the guest house.
Then, if you will excuse me. Led by Goda, the relatives headed off in the direction of the guest house. Their minds on setting down their luggage and taking a quick rest, they didn't notice that Rosa and Maria had stayed in the same spot.
You about to smack her again?
After watching them leave towards the guest house, Rosa's features changed suddenly. She let go with the hand that had been gripping Maria's arm the whole time. There was a bright red mark there, making it clear how much excessive force she had been gripping Maria's slender arm with. That hand then smacked Maria over the head and pulled her left ear up to the air, pinching it sharply.
There it is.
I'm always telling you not to talk about witches! Haven't I always said that was our promise together?
Mama, it hurts! Mama, it hurts!
Halloween, do you ever stop? A witch festival? Who cares about the Celts? Who cares about black magic? Are you an idiot? You are 9 years old. 9! Because you made that ruckus in the train, I had to go through all the trouble of getting off and buying you those disgusting monster marshmallows that look like they have fluorescent paint on them! We were even late because I bought them for you! How much more will you have to embarrass me before you're satisfied? As Rosa cursed, she twisted Maria's ear up, making it seem like it was going to snap off. An expression of anguish spread across Maria's face, and she stood on her tiptoes as though her life depended on it, trying to soften the pain on the ear that was being pulled. Rosa suddenly stole the candy from Maria that had been I can read. Rosa suddenly stole the candy that Maria had been holding in her hand. Then she threw it on the ground and stepped on it over and over. To Maria, it was supposed to be proof of her memory of that span of time, however brief, when she had enjoyed going shopping with her mother. But it was being trampled by that very same mother. It was as though a brand was being pushed against Maria's eyes, leaving a mark that couldn't be erased. Who cares about this disgusting candy? Disgusting! Disgusting! This is why, you see! This is why! Disgusting! 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 She struck Maria's head over and over again with her palm as she spoke. She didn't hit Maria's face, because the red swelling would stand out. Maria closed her eyes tightly, patiently bearing her mother's violence. No, that wasn't quite it.
Come back, Mama! Come back, Mama! Save me, Mama! beat the bad witch.
She kept bearing it, muttering that over and over. Will you listen? I told you to stop saying witch! You little... You... Rosa's shoulders shook as she breathed, tired from hitting. Maria grasped her hands together, withstanding and hoping her mother would come back quickly.
Mama! Come back quickly! Save me, Mama! Finish off the bad witch!
Why don't you just stay there doing that forever? And then you can just stand there mumbling about witches and Halloween forever! After throwing those words at Maria, Rosa went off towards the guest house, leaving Maria behind. Maria, unable to even remember that it was alright to cry, kept staring down at the trampled, unrecognizable jack-o'-lantern candy. Oh, Rosa! Where did you go? I'm sorry. The roses were so wonderful, I got a bit carried away. Rosa, go set your luggage down, quickly. We're going to greet Aniki. What happened to Maria-chan? Is she still by the flower beds? Yes. It looks like there was a rose that she liked, and she said she wanted to look after it and wouldn't listen. I decided to let her do what she wants for a while. Can we just accept that Rosa's death was magic, or do we have to prove that all were done by humans for the good end? Because I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Was it magic? Was it a human? Who knows? Who knows? We sometimes forget that girls have their own little world. Sometimes we have to respect that, right? That's right. Thank you for caring, Kirie-san. Goro-san, where is our room?
I will guide you. This way. Allow me to hold your luggage.
I'm fine. I can carry it myself. Thank you. Also, like, every other mother is okay with Maddie being a 9-year-old as a 9-year-old, but Rosa? I'm not gonna say it's complicated, because it isn't, in my opinion. It's not that complicated. Rosa... How do I explain? I'm trying to explain without spoiling her as a full character, because you're gonna need all 4 chapters of this question arc to kind of get her character. You need all 4. This was during, again, I have to remind everyone that this is 1980s. This was during a time when ADHD, autism spectrum, anything that was of the mental capacity sciences were not necessarily talked about, were not actually understood. These were during times when a lot of people still thought that mental illness was like a sin, was like a curse upon you and yours. Like, eugenics was still kind of dying out at this point. It's still, and today, like, we all accept that this is completely unacceptable. All of us can agree this is completely, absolutely unacceptable. This is absolute bullshit. I'm not defending Rosa. I want to make that clear. I'm not defending Rosa, nor am I giving her any sort of excuses for her actions. One, Kinzo beat his children. And she was not excused from the beatings. She also experienced Kinzo's hand. And also, she has a mild hatred of the fact that she is a single woman, a single mother, who didn't have the father in their life. The father wasn't part of their life. There's more to the story that comes later, like in this chapter, and I believe in chapter 4, where Rosa's side is a little more explained. It's not well explained, but it's more so of just it's complex to the understanding of, yeah, we all absolutely have the right to hate her. But in her mind and in the minds of those around her during that time, this was normal. It's mildly scary, and I'm glad we are no longer in that position. We can recognize that this behavior is bad. Can you also bring back a Dr. Pepper when you're coming? We can recognize that this is bad. That's why I always say, if you see abuse, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you see it in public, doesn't matter if you think it's none of your business, stop it. If you see it in public, stop it. No child should be harmed no matter what the reason. Even if the child is like the worst motherfucker on the planet, even if that child was like the worst kind of person, you still don't raise a hand to a child. The child does not have the strength or capacity to defend themselves the way an adult can.
I don't know. There was that one, let's not forget that 6-year-old that shot his teacher.
100%. Like, no, he still is going to be punished. That's still justifiable, punishable, but not by a physical, like, abuse in public. Like that. He should be tried by a judge and jury and sentenced to a prison. Or for, like, a juvie. For shooting up like a teacher like that. But you don't just sit there and allow an adult to smack him around. He's under the age of conviction, but nonetheless, he still should be punished in a proper way instead of having to bear the brunt of a physical altercation with an adult. Yeah, but my point stands. Regardless of the truth of the matter, my point stands that he is still a child who shouldn't have to endure the physical altercations of an adult. Because he cannot defend himself. Any adult here, we can hold ourselves in a fight. Because that is life or death, self-defense, whatever the case may be. But a child, doesn't matter the reason. Doesn't matter if they are it doesn't matter if it's fucking Satan himself. Lucius from, like, not Lucius, the wonderful, adorable Lucius Mod, who is also, like, a special guest here. But Lucius from, like, the game Lucius. The kid who's supposedly the spawn of Satan. Not even him. That is still a child. You judge accordingly. You don't let them be the victim of a physical altercation like an adult. But nonetheless, okay, we're moving on. Rosa went into the room that Goda had guided her to. Closing the door somewhat violently, she threw her luggage on top of the bed. She got down on her knees in front of the bed and buried her face in it. For a while, Rosa made as if to shred the sheets with her fingernails, sobbing continually. Maria-sama, are you alright? Canon, who had been hiding behind a thicket, appeared after watching Rosa leave.
I'm fine.
Maria laughed unpleasantly, but to Canon, who had seen the whole thing, it looked like she was enduring as best as she could. She's a horrible person. Can't believe that was a mother.
It can't be helped. Such pitiful things enter such pitiful vessels. I am just fine.
Sorry, I have a Dolores here. Canon got down on his knees and picked up the trampled candy. It was tragic just looking at it. He thought about dusting it off and returning it to her, but really couldn't do so with it in that condition. As he was at a loss of what to do, he met eyes with Maria. No, they didn't meet. Maria was looking at the candy that Canon had picked up. Right now, Maria's heart was surely the same as that trampled candy, which had been crushed into a pulp. Canon realized this, but he didn't know what he should do. I know. I'll exchange it for the one I received earlier. Kenan remembered that an identical candy which he had received from Maria was in his pocket. Maria stuck out her hand. Kenan thought she was trying to accept it, so he held out the candy, but Maria didn't try to grasp it. Then Kenan realized she was asking him to give it back. No matter how tragic it was, the trampled candy was Maria's. Her mother had bought it for her. No matter how tragic, it had to be this candy. If only it could be made pretty again by dusting it off. Kenan hung his head. I can't do anything except dust it off. Sorry. Kenan held out the miserable candy she wanted. Maria took it and spoke.
Thank you. A human can't do anything except dust it off, but a witch can repair it to how it was. It would be easy for Beatrice.
Maria-sama, do you know about Beatrice-sama? There couldn't be anyone related to the Yoshida-miya family who did know Beatrice's name, with Battler as an exception. But just now, Maria had told Battler about her proudly. She had spoken almost as though she had been meeting with Beatrice regularly. The inside of the fist Kenan made with his left hand hurt sharply. In the past, a witch called Beatrice had appeared and had tempted him and Shannon. He had always tried to make himself think it had been a bad dream. However, Shannon insisted that it had definitely been a real witch. Then, this summer, the shrine to the local Shinto god had been hit by lightning and had disappeared without a trace in the span of a single night. He had known that Shannon had broken the mirror. And he remembered, too, that upon the witch's departure, she had left him with the words that she would eventually be revived. And now, this girl who had no end of faith in Beatrice spoke as though she had met her. Kenan couldn't suppress a sense of something ominous welling up in his heart. For a while, Maria remained silent, as though she could see into Kenan's heart. As though she was waiting for his memory of Beatrice to come back to him. Then, she spoke matter-of-factly.
You know, I am friends with Beatrice. I'm meeting her today too, to play.
Play?
Yep. Play. We're going to study magic together.
But does she have smash? Because if not, we ain't playing. Face of the witch, who Kenan had tried to pretend was a bad dream, began to slowly creep into the back of his mind. Father said he was extremely busy with his research. He said that, unfortunately, he will be unable to make an appearance.
Come on. We put this confidence in our schedules and come all the way out to Rokenjima during the very busy fall season. I wish Dad would act a little more sociable.
Quick! We need a shrine maiden and a half demon!
Inuyasha!
Kagome! So true. Dr. Nanjo, is it really a problem with his research and his mood? He isn't already bedridden and unable to get up, right?
Well, I wonder. There is not much I can say.
Nanjo glanced at Natsuhi, as though he wasn't qualified to disregard Natsuhi when he spoke on this topic. Father is healthier than ever. Calling him bedridden is the height of rudeness. But he only has 3 months left to live, right? Normally, wouldn't that mean that he's been wasting away, unable to get out of his bed? Right, Dr. Nanjo?
For a normal patient, that would probably be the case. But Ginzo-san has extraordinary willpower. The force of his will may even have the Grim Reaper too terrified to approach. If he's that energetic, then we can be at least a little reassured, right?
Although, if he's that energetic, I wish he'd at least allow us to greet him. Isn't the point of the family conference to come and see Dad's face? Now I don't know why the hell we came. Don't say that. If you were here, you would complain the whole time about how you couldn't relax. I say we should celebrate that all of the siblings are here together as a family again this year, as we were the last, without even one of us missing.
You realize we couldn't meet him at last year's family conference either. I wonder why we can't get him to understand that his birth children by blood want to see him after 2 years. If you have words for greeting him, I will tell him for you. Or, I have a son. Perhaps you had something other than a greeting you wanted to discuss with Father? Come on, what are you talking about? Sheesh!
Give it a rest, Ava. Not that he's saying forgive us. Ava was just concerned about Father's condition as his daughter. Please understand her feelings a bit. That's right. Ava, how suddenly you've become respectful to Father since he was told how long he has left. Yes, I can just about understand why you might be desperate to see him.
What exactly are you implying?
Quit it, Aniki. Why don't we pray that his mood will improve by dinner? And we've just arrived. And anyway, we only came to give a greeting. We can hold the family conference even without Dad. No. There should be even a few things that we can't talk to him about until we form a unified opinion. Right, Hideyoshi Nissan? Yep. Just as Rodolph-kun says, we can only gather our faces here once a year. We've got to value this precious time we've got and talk together frankly.
Jesus Christ, Hideyoshi is like slowly becoming my favorite character, even though he's... Even though the tea hadn't even come yet, there was still some being spilt all over this fucking room. They were very strong-minded. But before that, I wonder if we have enough leeway to enjoy some black tea at our leisure, surrounded by the wonderful furnishings of the mansion's parlor. Kidie's words seemed to hold some slight admonishment towards all of the peoples gathered in that place. They all understood as they cleared their throats and straightened their neckties. The atmosphere in the room returned to normal for a moment.
Excuse me. I have brought some tea.
Hey, Shannon-chan. You just keep getting prettier and prettier.
Shannon entered the parlor, pushing the serving cart. Everyone decided to slowly enjoy some black tea for the time being. A wonderful aroma began to spread throughout the parlor. Looking at the scene, it would have been impossible to guess the strained atmosphere which had been there until right before Shannon had entered. Of course, Shannon, who was setting out the tea, probably didn't even notice. Kidie made a gesture that seemed to laugh at everyone's adult appearance. Rudolph didn't like it when Kidie took the initiative and spoke at the family conference. It was his worthless male pride. He probably didn't want to look like a weak man taking his wife's advice. She understood that and was doing her best to refrain from saying anything unnecessary. So she separated herself from the circle of siblings, which was good-natured only in appearance, and slowly enjoyed her tea near the window. Oh, Rosa-san. I thought all you siblings were having a friendly discussion together. You are joking. Sorry, don't take it the wrong way. I'm just rolling my eyes at my husband. It seemed that Rosa hadn't been able to keep up with the charade of amicability. They had come here to fight bloodily and dirtily, each trying to steal the inheritance from the others. She probably didn't want to pretend to be fellow conspirators at this stage. Or maybe she was still too much inexperienced for that. It looks like the wind has started blowing hard out there. All plants are all shaking so much. The typhoon has probably already come fairly close. I wonder if it will rain at a lot tonight. Maria-chan really has grown a lot this past year. Does it look that way? She still can't even fold her own clothing yet. Yes, it's because she has such an affectionate mother.
Ew.
She'll grow into a girl who's rich in heart. Rosa was silent. Maybe she
I wonder why.
Maybe she was unsure as to how Kitty meant by that. Me? I'm not fit to be a mother. Children can't choose their parents. That poor girl. Doesn't that go both ways? A parent can't choose what kind of child is born either. Rosa bit her lower lip. It isn't a matter of who's at fault. You just need to have the mindset of going through life together with her and slowly watch over her as she grows up. Rosa-chan, you spend every day with Maria-chan, so you probably don't notice the gradual changes. But the rest of us, who have been reunited with her after a year, really understand that she's grown up a lot. If you mean that sincerely, then thank you very much.
Then, if you'll excuse me, if there is anything else you desire, please call for it any time.
Shannon bowed politely and left the room. After Hideyoshi and Rudolph watched her go with turned heads, the atmosphere in the room began to revert back to what it had been right before Shannon had visited. If Father is unable to be here, then in itself opens up the opportunity for some, certain topics. If she was like 15 or 13, 15, I would have said, but she's 9. Unfortunately, I see Rosa's side of things, where it's just kind of like, I knew how to do chores at 6 and 7. Maybe it's because like I grew up in both an Asian and Southern white household, where if you were able to walk and if you were able to hold things, then you were able to understand how to pick up after yourself, how to clean up your toys, how to make your bed, etc., etc. Now, that doesn't mean to say like you had to learn how to do origami or things like that. You didn't have to like perfectly get your clothes on to be perfect perfection, but at least with enough understanding of just, if something doesn't belong on the floor, pick it up, put it away, things like that.
Wait, so you're telling me that no one else learned how to do taxes at the age of 5?
You see that Rudolph is the best parents among the Yoshinomiya family, and he cheated on his wife. Yeah, you know. Though, guys, Hideyoshi's pretty good. He's just like a little bit of a airhead sometimes with his wife. Moving on. Right, Rudolph?
Yes, that's right. We didn't come all the way out here just to drink some dusty tea, you know. Very well. Why don't we hear this topic that you're scrambling to get to?
My. Those people are sure strong-minded. They really started fast. Wait, you guys weren't tracking stocks in daycare? I must join in as well. If I don't assert myself, they'll quickly forget that there are 4 of us siblings. It can't be easy for you either. Maybe I didn't choose my words well. I'm sorry. No, I don't mind. I'm the one who should be apologizing. We're both mothers with daughters, so really, we should have more of these conversations. But every time we meet, we talk about something strange. That's the fault of the atmosphere in this mansion. Once we breathe in this air, everyone gets so strained. Just once, I want to drink a nice, long cup of tea with you, Rosa-san, when we aren't attending a family conference. There's a wonderful coffee shop in Ginza, which is a favorite of mine. Please, let me invite you sometime soon. Thank you, Kirie-san. That sounds good. How horrible. The sky's suddenly gotten dark. It's almost as though the people in this room have made the weather worse. There's already thunder. Children are clumsy and bad at doing delicate tasks. That's why I'm saying, like, at a young age, you still need to teach. This is, again, my parental, like, ideals as a parent. You don't expect perfection from a child.
That's not a thing you should. What you should still teach them is the understanding of cleanliness, the understanding of organization, and the understanding of how to maintain themselves. Like, it's one thing to just be like, hey, you have to make sure that your room is squeaky clean, no dust particles, all your clothes have to be folded in a perfect 90-degree angle each corner, or things like that. No. You just be like, hey, your clothes go in the drawer, or your clothes go in the closet. Hey, your toys go in the toy chest, or your toys go in the box. If you see that your blanket is a little like crumpled on the bed, smooth it out, make your bed. Things like that. Very simple tasks that they can understand and slowly learn to build as a habit. So that way they don't feel constantly under the influence of clutter. Because I grew up... I can't believe I'm actually revealing this. I grew up where at one point in my life I was so disorganized that my dad literally threw all of my shit into trash bags. He didn't toss them out, but he just threw everything in my room in a trash bag and left it in the corner of the room and had just my mattress on the floor. Because we were that poor. We were that fucking poor that we had a mattress on the floor. I was that disorganized. And I'm not saying it was a good thing, but I'm not saying it was necessarily... How do I explain this? I look back on it, and I'm like, I should have understood the importance of cleaning up. Because now, as an adult, I get frustrated when things get cluttered. I get flustered when, like, my place is a mess. But because of my ADHD and all that stuff, I don't have necessarily the energy or the focus to be able to sit down and clean my space constantly to a clean state. Now, this is back during a time where, again, ADHD and all that stuff wasn't necessarily looked upon with kids. And plus, we were too poor to necessarily have those resources where we could figure out, hey, your daughter has not necessarily a neurotypical mindset. Nowadays, we do. Nowadays, if me and Bryan, like, adopted or had kids, we'd have those resources be like, hey, we know that there is a neurodivergency in children that could be addressed should that come up. And we should understand and be able to accommodate such. But my growing up has pretty much instilled to me that regardless of your cognitive function, you still should be making a habit of keeping things clean. Keeping things tidy. That doesn't mean like clean 24/7 if there's something messy. But don't let your life turn so stressful with the idea that you can't clean that your life literally crumbles around you in a mess. So yeah. But yeah. You okay? Okay, we're gonna keep going. Oh? Do I see the first signs of rain? Huh? There really were small splashes of rain on the glass of the parlor window. It seemed that the weather had gone worse faster than they expected. Just then, a silent thunderbolt struck inside Rosa's head, and she remembered that her beloved child was in the rose garden. A normal girl would think about going into the house if the weather got bad. But Maria was different. She would sometimes become stubborn and wouldn't move no matter whether rain or even spears fell from the sky. That's right. I told that kid just stay there doing that forever, didn't I? Oh no! Maria! At the small exclamation, everyone turned to look at Rosa.
What happened?
I'm sorry. I'm going outside for a second. I'll be right back.
What? What's going on with her? Seriously?
Doesn't matter. She'll be right back. Why don't we just get started with our main topic? Good idea. We can move on even without Rosa. Let's return to the matter at hand. Rosa dashed from the entrance hall into the rose garden.
When she opened the door, the wind that hit her was too strong to be called a breeze, and told her that the typhoon was approaching faster than she had thought. Just as Kirie had said, small droplets of rain were mixed in with the wind. They were also the low rumble of thunder. It could start raining any time. Rosa headed for the Rose Garden. She headed for the place where she had scolded Maria a short while ago. It was almost lunchtime. The children had been told that they could just come to the mansion at lunchtime, but they were probably in the guest house waiting to be called. Even if Maria didn't come, they would surely think that I had taken her to the mansion with me and wouldn't worry much. After all, she was with her mother, so there shouldn't have been anything to worry about. Except I was here and had thrown my daughter into the worsening weather outside all alone. Maria! Are you here? If you're here, answer me! It really was as I thought. She was standing stock still, exactly the same way she had been in the place where I had scolded her. Held in her hand was the candy that I had bought, given her, and then stepped on and crushed. With that gripped in her hand, she had been standing there, as the strong wind whipped her hair about, tormenting her. I'm sorry. Sorry, Maria. Forgive Mama.
Mama, welcome back. I waited a long time for you to come back, Mama. Got pinched by a scary witch, but held out and waited for Mama to come back without crying.
Maria. Forgive Mama.
It's not your fault, Mama. You were just possessed by a bad witch again. I'm fine. Love you, Mama. I love you.
I'm sorry. Mama, lost to the bad witch. Forgive me. Rosa buried her face in Maria's small chest, crying and begging forgiveness. And those tears dripped down again, as they had countless times before. If only the brilliant sun had been shining on the two of them, all of their cares would have evaporated, and they would have felt like they could begin anew. However, what surrounded the two of them was the worsening weather. Strong winds mixed in with the sound of thunder, saddening. Rosa noticed the sound of Maria sniffling. If she stood exposed to the wind for too long, she would probably catch a cold. So, Maria, it'll be lunch very soon. Come back to the mansion with Mama.
I'm not coming.
Why? Rosa thought that Maria had already forgiven her, so she never imagined she would refuse. But the expression on Maria's face didn't look like that of a child resisting her mother. So Rosa wasn't able to understand why Maria wanted to stand still in the rose garden, pointlessly, as the weather grew even worse. Maria answered that question.
It's Beatrice. She'll come really soon. So I'm waiting.
Maria. Rosa started to say something, faltered, and then fell silent. They had just gone to great lengths to make up with each other. She chose her words carefully, trying to get Maria to come with her to the mansion without denying the witch outright. Beatrice is coming? Really? Then instead of waiting here, why don't we wait in the mansion? If you stay in this wind too long, you'll catch a cold.
She'll come! Beatrice will come! And when she does, I'll give a candy to her. I'll do trick-or-treat. I'll give her a jack-o'-lantern marshmallow candy and say Happy Halloween!
Maria pulled yet another sweet out of her handbag, moaning, ooh. Rosa was bewildered, not knowing what to do as Maria started being difficult again. Just then, there was a sudden and massive roar of thunder. It was probably a sign. A sign that indicated that this island had become closed off by the storm and detached from common sense and reality. Therefore, as of this moment, all common sense would no doubt be useless. The wind blew even stronger, and in the middle of a blizzard of scattered rose petals, a figure appeared, leaving Rosa momentarily unable to imagine that this was a scene from reality. No, probably it was. It had to be fantastical. Because that figure was shaped like...
Beatrice!
Maria dashed over to the figure. Normally, Rosa would scold her daughter if she's dashed over to a complete stranger. But Rosa forgot about that, unable to do anything but stand there, shocked. It's been a while. Have you been in good health?
I'm in good health. Witches don't catch colds.
Witches make people catch colds with curses. But how foolish would it be if they caught one themselves? You should focus your energies on ensuring that you do not catch cold yourself. She patted Maria's head as she said this, smiling roguishly. Rosa couldn't have known the name of the woman who was happily spoiling Maria. However, Maria had called to her in the beginning when she had appeared. Therefore, even though Rosa had never met her, and even though she hadn't named herself, Rosa was able to learn her name. However, that name had a special meaning on Orokanjima and in the Ushiramiya family. There was no way something so stupid could...
Beatrice! Happy Halloween! Look, bought these! You can have one too!
Happy Halloween! Oh, for me, you say? Even the single and only light given to a man lost in the darkness of purgatory, unable to go to heaven or hell, looks truly charming when made into a candy like this. Right now on this island that has been cut off from both the world of humans and the world of non-humans, there may be no sweet more suitable. Is this an alternate timeline, the moment taking place before Rosa and the other deaths are fun? I'm shrug, I don't know! Maria, what has happened here? The witch noticed the sweet that Maria was grasping. It was Maria's candy, which had been stomped on by Rosa and taken on a pitiful shape.
Stepped on a smash. Can you return to normal, Beato?
Maria deliberately didn't say that it was her mother who had stepped on her. However, when the witch saw the candy for some reason, she looked at Rosa and grinned. A chill went down Rosa's spine, as though she felt that this gaze could see through every part of her. It will be... Bryan! It will be easy. Give it to me. Maria held out the candy gleefully. Rosa could do nothing but watch this unfold, stunned. How could this person gloss over the fact that the candy was pitifully trampled in a way that could satisfy Maria? Maria looked as though she believed that it could be fixed as good as new. There was no way this could be done without real magic. My! It is a bit crushed, isn't it? Come, Maria. Close your eyes and try to remember. Because it really was that wonderful a candy. The candies in our memories are always full and fluffy. So you too must close your eyes and try to remember. What kind of candy was it really? Along those strange words, spoken as though singing an improvised folk song, the witch threw the sweet into the air. Maria had her eyes closed, just as the witch had told her, and was focused on remembering the shape that the crushed candy really had been. Therefore, only Rosa saw that scene. The sweet in which had been thrown into the air burst into a gold color. No, those were golden butterflies. It scattered into several golden butterflies, and they began to assemble in the witch's hand, held up to the sky. And when they had, unbelievably, the candy had returned to its beautiful original form, just like the time it had been bought. Only Rosa and the witch had watched that scene. Unable to understand the event that was occurring right in front of her eyes, Rosa stood with her mouth open, forgetting to shut it. And no, Beatrice is not Beatrice's, not Diana's mom. You may now open your eyes. Take it. Now your sweet has returned to normal.
Beatrice, you're always awesome!
There was a very bold contrast between Rosa's shocked appearance and Maria's innocently joyful one. Was that what the witch was laughing at? A smile floated to Beatrice's face, different from the one she had shown Maria. Does my face look familiar? If you stare so fixedly, you might burn a hole through it. I'm sorry. At those words, it hit Rosa strongly. Rosa knew her face. She knew it from the portrait of the witch. But no, wait. Was this mystery woman really? Maria, I will give you this to you in exchange for that sweet.
Letter?
The witch pulled a Western envelope from her pocket and gave it to Maria. However, when Maria made it to open it, the witch stopped her. You must not. The time will come soon to open it, but until then, you must not open it under any circumstances. Take good care of it. It'll become an invitation calling you into the Golden Land.
The Golden Land! You're finally going to take me there!
Take it and tuck it away safely. You must not show it to anyone.
Promise! I will always keep my promises with witches.
And this is for you. Huh? Me? She probably hadn't imagined that the witch would speak to her, too. Rosa was bewildered by this second Western envelope that had been thrust before her. She remembered having seen that Western envelope before. There could be no mistake. It was Kinzo's special envelope, used when he wrote in his own hand and bearing the Ushiramiya crest. Moreover, it was sealed with red sealing wax, and further still, it had an imprint which seemed to have been made by the head's ring. In other words, irrespective of what was written inside, this woman, whom Maria called Beatrice, was trusted enough that she was in charge of a personal letter from the current Ushiramiya head. It could have been any of the 4 siblings. However, the fact that I have met you here probably means you were chosen by Kinzo's roulette. So take it, and read its contents aloud while seated at the dinner table when all of the siblings are gathered. What did you say? Rosa looked back and forth several times between the witch's face and the envelope she had been handed. Today was the family conference, and the biggest object of discussion was the inheritance problem. So she had joined together with Ava and Rudolph, and they had planned to force a certain conditions upon Kraus to try and extort a prompt payment of several 100 million yen out of him. It was as if the witch could see through all of that. And when all of the siblings are gathered, what is she planning on announcing to us? With a personal envelope that no one but Shinomiya Head can use. Maria! The weather is getting worse. Return to the guest house and wait for lunchtime. Well then, Rosa. Let us meet later. Allow me to name myself there. The witch turned her back to her, laughing, and headed off towards the mansion with an air of composure. Maria saw her off with an energetic reply, and then dashed off towards the guest house, leaving Rosa where she was. As though she didn't want to waste a second in informing the other cousins of her good fortune in meeting the witch. Ultimately, Rosa was left alone in the rose garden as the winds grew stronger, unable to do anything except pray that what had happened was just a daydream.